Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort, meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today.
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort, meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today.
Hello and welcome to IMP's WWE Adventures podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. You can help the network out by leaving us a 5-star review. You can also give a donation directly through Red Circle and become one of the amazing community by joining the Social Suplex Discord. Link is in the description. Listen to the other top-notch shows here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, One Nation Radio with Rich and James, Keeping It Strong Style, All Things Elite, Wrestling Art with Chris Things, Trish and Sarah, Tunnel Talk, and Sam Brown is back with the AEW Match Guide. My name is Matt Maher, aka Imp, and this is your quick look back at the WWE week that was. 30 minutes of a very hot and sweaty English man. I was painting the picture immediately. My God, it's hot over here in the UK. Anyway, let's jump on over very quickly to just get this over and done with, get the recording done so I can, exit the hot room with all the thick black sound pads, making it even hotter. Anyway, let's jump on over to Chicago, Illinois for Friday Night SmackDown.
Is that this? Oh my God, Wade! Who is it? The rumors are true! Oh. You know who that is? Oh my God! That's Jacob Fatu! He's here!
Opened with hometown man Punkerton. Punk and Chicago just have that something special. Relating his Money in the Bank WWE Championship win back in 2011 in front of his hometown crowd to Drew McIntyre failing and embarrassing his. Paul Heyman comes out. Speaking of Punk's WWE past, a much needed hug for the wise man. In the car on the way in, Solo got pissed hearing Chicago being called Punk's town, and Heyman's scared for his friend. Like, no. Punk's the first character to actually believe Heyman's being serious with this stuff. We've seen others just not believe him because of the years of every single time he tries something, it's always been a trick. So characters now believe, even if he sounds believable, it's going to be a trick. But he's sounding believable because he's telling the truth in this occasion. But Punk's, even though he does believe Heyman's being serious, he still does not take action on the wise man's warnings. F.U. Solo raining out from the crowd. In a nice twist on the say his name and he will come out, they tricked the audience into doing it for them. They said F Solo, that's why Solo came out. It wasn't the people in the ring calling him out, it was the crowd. They did it very well. A line from Punk nailing the perception of Solo. I don't see the bloodline, I see fake-ass Usos and a phony cosplay tribal chief. Absolutely nailing the sentiments feeling towards Solo at the moment. Bringing Solo and friends down one peg, knowing Fatu's presence is about to elevate them 2 or 3. Then they are missing an absolute key player with this lineup. It somewhat feels a little bit subpar. Fatu is the piece that's missing. He's that missing piece for the Solo. Is the worry that he might outshine Solo because he's just so special and so good. That said, they could also be the absolute missing piece for the group that elevates everybody. Waller and Theory are bickering backstage with DIY in front of the big Allstate Arena parking lot garage door, where we've seen so many bickerings amp up into a lad getting thrown into it in the past. Bashing from the other side of the door, though, lifted to reveal Punk bloody on the ground with Drew McIntyre standing over him. What a bloody great reveal. So well done. Carrying Punk on his shoulders out into the arena, dumping him on the stage, taking off his bracelet and walking away. Such an amazing follow-up to Drew McIntyre quitting. Then he comes out here. It's really well done. Which then takes us into our main event. Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Guaranteed to have no Punk by his side, in spite of what happened earlier. But I just realised I stopped talking about the Heyman stuff and immediately jumped over to Waller and Theory. I've missed a very important thing there. Cody made the save with baseball bats. Okay, but Cody made the save with baseball bats. We're going to have Cody versus Solo later in the night, but we know that Punk's there and stuff, so he's going to be like maybe the guy in the corner to get Chicago to properly cheer for Cody. It's not needed. They can take out CM Punk and prove that Cody is over on his own anyway. But also that meant that it spin-offs into two separate things where you can focus on Cody and Solo and Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. So the main event of Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa, straight up booking the match they're building up for SummerSlam. So you can bet your ass there's going to be shenanigan brawlings. I'm watching this recorded, seeing that this match starts with 5 minutes remaining. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm not expecting anything here. Maybe a minute. And to be fair, a minute was under. We got about 90 seconds. So it gets good as there. Before going out, Solo shattering Heyman's hopes by him being the one to tell him Roman isn't coming back. The precursor to the final full lineup being revealed. Solo assuming full control of the bloodline. Just over 90 seconds until Tongan interference. On Cody's side, Orton and RKO making the save. We're 3-on-3. RKO to Tama. Lower out 2. Looking like we're 3-on-1. When Solo is down in the corner and starts laughing maniacally. Jacob Fatu! Oh no, I can't. That can't be how I have to say his name every time. Damn it! Oh no! And no promo video. Who is he? Oh, that always was a see-through bad take. Yeah, it always was, and this is my proof of it. The exact same impact way to debut somebody. Super kicks, Samoan drop onto the steps to KO. Spear charging Randy through the barricade, getting Jacob Fatu over so strongly. Lastly beating the shite out of Cody. Splashed from the top rope through the announce table. Like, that man got one hell of a strong first impression. He was booked to look like a beast. I mean, to be fair, he is one. People have been talking about how amazing he is for quite some time now, so awesome to see him finally get this. Finally, a member of the Bloodline you're genuinely excited to see wrestle. And that's kind of what I mean by the perception of the Bloodline. When I say it was incomplete, this isn't just like slotting in Tonga lower and be like, oh, okay, now it's a full group. Like, no, this is like a full perception shift for the group because he's such a special talent. The Tongan's expression, one of being scared too, as Solo lifts up Fatu's arm. This was an amazing debut for Fatu. He feels like such a huge deal and like is such an incredible talent as well. I cannot praise how they did this anymore. It was so well done. And from this was set up for Money in the Bank, the 6-man tag team match of Cody, KO and Orton versus 3 members of the Bloodline. So I don't know if the idea they're playing off of was Punk was the other person that was siding with Cody. Yeah, I don't know what they go for. They just didn't book a 4th guy in there, so someone's got to sit out. I'm assuming it's lower. Like, why would you bring in Fatu with such a huge debut and then not put him in this match? Surely you don't have Fatu there as a ringside, like, super wild man or something. I hope that's not how they book him. I'd book him as the special talent you want to see wrestle, and you actually do get to see wrestle more often to make you excited for the group, rather than having be the wild guy at ringside who doesn't really partake in the structured matches or anything. I've got my red flags up for this, kind of what they've been doing with the Bloodline at the moment. It's like, it feels like we're setting up a group, but also, if it's the big SummerSlam story, Solo doesn't feel like that big guy, and you're just waiting for Roman, which is a bit of a... If he gained any momentum before WrestleMania, what a different story this could be, compared to he beat John Cena, and then he's just a loser, and then when he takes over the Bloodline, he hasn't got any momentum. It's like, same problem with Damien Priest. Got 2 lads built up on top who've just had to try and find momentum. In terms of Money in the Bank qualifiers, for the women's qualifier, we got Mia Yim on Smackers. She looked great in Bianca Belair's Money in the Bank qualifying match. Chelsea Green III as TNA props up the WWE star. But in a twist, Green getting more over as time goes on, so the room was properly read to give her the win, stealing the win after Belair nailed the KOD on Yim, also continuing the story of Cargill and Belair starting to rack up losses. And they were booked as the unbeatable superheroes. Now they are being brought down many pegs. So we'll see where they're going with that. It's quite a clever way to bring them down, just so you feel like you don't want to John Cena them. You don't want to feel too invincible, so that when you're watching the matches, you just go, okay, they're going to win. This helps you buy into them losing because you're watching them lose quite a bit. In different circumstances and whatever, but they're still picking up losses, which is quite important for such super strong characters. Blair Davenport got a little gem with Betty backstage as well. Her debut and Money in the Bank qualifier are next week against Naomi and Indy Hartwell. The men's qualifiers, Tama Tonga versus already in the ring Carmelo Hayes versus Randy Orton. Tama and Randy both like those headlocks, so thank God for Melo. KO aiding Randy in the Bloodline antics, but Melo stuck in for another surprise victor. Honestly, this is the right way to build up your Money in the Bank matches. I don't want your Money in the Bank matches full of former world champions and guys already on top like that. I want to watch this ladder match, not knowing which one's going to get elevated. That's what I want. I don't want it full of main eventers and then one or two younger lads. So fill it full of non-main event people. Or like upper mid-card lads like this. That's the absolute perfect usage of the match for me. You're watching that being like, oh, someone's going to get elevated from this, but I have no idea which one. That's how you should do it. That's the vibe I should feel like. Obviously, last year was a little bit different because I had so many hot guys in there. And this year, even though I'm saying all that, I still believe Drew McIntyre is the absolute perfect one, just because of where his character is at the moment. But I also wouldn't mind CM Punk, because does he actually have to win Money in the Bank for the hypocrisy stuff to be talked about? Because he's talking about winning Money in the Bank and cashing in. CM Punk can just tell CM Punk that he's being hypocritical because of that, if he costs him at Money in the Bank or whatever. I just feel like it's another way to go. Just have Punk cost him again, just to make sure he never becomes champion. And Grayson Waller versus already in the ring, Andrade versus Kevin Owens. The Tongans immediately attacking the Canadian on the ramp, Randy Pandy with the save, but the damage was already done. A real nice spot with Waller doing his jumping roll, forward roll thing into the ring, but as he then stands up out of the forward roll, caught and twisted final cut, or whatever Andrade is calling his finisher, so incredibly smooth. That was so well done. I don't often, for these reviews and WWE things, talk about like matches or the matches' qualities themselves, or it's the way I would for an AEW show, or talk about like different spots and things instead of how awesome they were, or whatever. I'll normally do like a quick jab, or whatever. But this was really cool. I really like that finish. It was so well done. Other notes, LA Knight wanted... I've only got one other note this week, and it's LA Knight. He wanted to chat shit at Logan Paul, instead getting Santos Escobar. He's the third lad in Knight and Paul's Money in the Bank qualifier in Madison Square Garden next week, and that's when Logan blindsides the man. But that is the end of SmackDown. It's one of those ones where it's just bubbling stuff up. However, the main event news of Jacob Fatu's debut really did steal the show. When the show was over, that's all anybody was talking about, was how that... Actually, that's not true, because the Drew McIntyre and CM Punk stuff was also so well done, so well produced, that they were also talking about it in that way as well. It's one of this... He come out of a SmackDown, and just to have that many different talking points be so strong, like, wow, they actually did a really good job of the show this week. Not just letting stuff bubble, but having like key moments in people's either character arcs or storylines that they're doing, just all kick into that next gear on this one. Like the character shift for Drew McIntyre in this show is massively important, and it's so well done the way it was set up on Raw, and I just didn't expect any of it really done there. And Jacob Fatu's debut as well. It's been bubbling for a while. It's been needed. I feel like the Blood Diamonds kind of under Solo Sikoa is losing quite a lot of steam. There's not much excitement to see him versus Cody at SummerSlam. Yes, I've got more time to start building it up. It's only June. However, Fatu is such a special talent that I'm really excited to see how they use him here. What I've seen of Fatu, he's such a special talent where if you use him correctly, then he can be the guy you're excited to watch whenever you tune into a Bloodline match, especially like a multi-man chaotic thing, because he will bring the chaos. So now, let's jump on over to Monday Night Raw, and I kind of wanted to do that one first, just because Monday Night Raw, I've got a few ranty things to talk about, and if you follow the week of wrestling, you know what it's about to, what I'm going to have to address, unfortunately. But yeah, SmackDown, very positive on SmackDown. I came out feeling great about wrestling. Monday Night Raw, very different story. Even though I'm a big fan of some of the things that happened on Monday Night Raw, I did not come out of Monday Night Raw a fan of WWE. So let's jump on over to wherever this was. I didn't write it down. You don't deserve it this week, WWE. You don't get to plug your stuff. Anyway, let's jump on over to Monday Night Raw.
The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car-selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place. That's not just the sound of that first sip of Morning Joe. It's the sound of someone shopping for a car on Carvana from the comfort of home.
That's a good blend.
It's time to take it easy, like answering some easy questions to get pre-qualified for a car in minutes.
Talk about starting the morning right.
Just like customizing your terms so your car fits your budget. Visit Carvana.com or download the app to experience car shopping the way it should be. Convenient, comfortable.
Dominic. Since I couldn't seem to catch you backstage, I thought I'd come all the way out here to get your attention. I hope you really like the gifts I gave you. But I hope you like that text I sent you even more.
On a night when already there was no Pat McAfee, and instead we got one half of the WWE World Tag Team Champions, The Miz, on commentary for a long extended period of time, then I had to watch him in a main event match. Like, good God. Good. I'm already down a peg. I'm already kind of just having to, okay, right. Then there's the Liv Morgan storyline. Where to begin? So, a few weeks ago, I was talking about it probably being wise to play past the sexual harassment in the workplace notes and move onto the core reasonings for stealing Dom. We've seen teasers of that through Priest, but if anything, the sexual harassment angle has increasingly been lent on more and more. The past few weeks, I've kind of shoved the Liv stuff into the other notes so I don't have to talk about it. I just like a quick little thing, and I've even done a quick little jokey way of describing it, whatever, and I just moved past it quickly as this is whatever. Well, I've allowed it to bubble. I've watched it play out before casting any judgment, and yeah, putting this on television whilst under the shadow of the Janelle Grant lawsuit is fucking atrocious. Either too stupid to know they're making the commentary, or doing it with full intent to condition their audience's reaction to news of the federal judgment on Vince. Using Liv as a conduit to potential title contenders to come out and slut-shame her too. Zelina making jokes about Liv's libido, about Liv only caring about getting that dirty D. My God, Jesus Christ. This arc for the character of Liv Morgan has gotten worse than I could have ever potentially thought. The viewing conditioning that they're doing is shameful. It's okay because she's hot though, right? She's asking for it. She's doing all this stuff. That's okay, right? I'll actually critique the character, what the character is doing to the Judgment Day next week. This isn't the week for it. This is the week to just call them out on the bullshit. By the time I'm recording this, it's been a few days. I wasn't able to watch Monday Night Raw until Wednesday this week. So that does mean I'm able to go into social media and see how things have bubbled throughout the week. And I can at least be happy in the knowledge that when I went onto social media, or at least the social media people that I follow, they were having absolutely none of this. And their reaction was identical to mine when I went on. I was like, okay, cool. It's not just me. I'm not watching this. I'm not making links that nobody else is making. Just to see that it wasn't just me that had that reaction. Making that link of, you're really doing this right on the potential verge of a federal judgment being passed for the Vince McMahon stuff. And you're having people backstage, without consent, sharing what we are led to believe is a naughty photo of somebody that's been sent to Dom. The Dom then shows the rest of the boys in the stable that photo. And that is such a key part of the Janelle Grant lawsuit. It's Jesus Christ. It's the type of thing where doing this conditions your audience to, when the judgment is passed on Vince McMahon, I watch this and I go, there will be people using what is set up here with this Liv storyline, and they will use the exact reactions for Liv to react to Janelle Grant. It's the danger of viewer conditioning, and they're setting up a viewership to react that way when that news happens. And for me, that's absolutely atrocious. An absolute abuse of the power they have as a strong creative force with such a strong audience as well. Either that, or they're incompetent. Neither's good. Neither is good. If I am in the creative for WWE, and say this is Liv Morgan's idea to do something like this, Liv Morgan and maybe it's Liv and Dom together. I'm just creating a random scenario just to prove a point. I'm not saying any of this is true. They go to creative and they pitch this idea to me, and in absolutely no world should a PR person be greenlighting this. In absolutely no world, purely because of the shadow that is currently over WWE with this lawsuit. In no world should you be doing a storyline like this. Do not run a sexual harassment storyline. And that's what I was thinking when she was doing the stuff with Dom. I was initially, 3 weeks ago, when I was like, I will let it bubble, I'll relegate it to the background of my other notes, and I'll talk about it once we've actually seen where it's going. Because maybe they're bubbling it this way, doing little teasers and things, but they're actually going to get to the point of why she's doing this type of thing, rather than just focusing on her doing this wacky things every week. Unfortunately, my worries come true. She's doing the wacky things every single week. And this week, when they had Zelina Vega come out where she's meant to be that conduit for you, the audience, for you to say what you want to say to the baddie character, and then the crowd cheers like, hey, that's what I would have said, like, hey, you're speaking for me type of thing. But they have the character come out and slut shame her. A character like that has come out and done that thing in WWE and wrestling for such a long time, which is why I'm bringing up the incompetency thing. Because there's a chance they just did a thing, didn't think about it, and for me that's incompetent on both WWE and their PR team, and anyone in that creative team who didn't, who greenlit this past, like a past divisional person who wrote it or whatever, who read that and went, that's absolutely fine. The two worlds are incompetence or knowing exactly what you're doing and purposely conditioning your audience to react a certain way. It's like, it's absolutely atrocious. Because obviously I said I didn't watch the show till Wednesday. I had been spoiled on a few things. I'd seen the Liv Morgan saying, I hope you like the pictures I got line. So I'd seen like what had happened, but I'd not seen the reaction or whatever. But I wasn't prepared for Zelina Vega coming out and doing the slut shaming thing, which is why I'm probably focusing on it more than other places will. Because by this point you would have heard other places talking about this, but that was the bit that caught me off guard because I'd not seen anyone talking about that. And I'm like, that's such a huge part. She's the conduit almost for the conditioning of this is how we want you to react to this character. And it's like, my God, they're telling you that they want you to be slut-shaming Liv for her actions. I do not know any other way to explain why I'm having the reaction I am to this than explaining it like that. Anyway, that's I think that's my rant on this. There's not really much more to add, and I feel like I'm going to have more opportunities to talk about this. But yeah, it's atrocious in different... The competency world doesn't forgive it. It's just as atrocious, but it's atrocious for a different reason. They're both atrocious. It's like, my thing is, you see the reception to this online after this week. My advice 3 weeks ago, seeing the sexual harassment stuff, was fast forward it. It wasn't stop what you're doing, because I see the ultimate point is they want to get Rhea Ripley away from Judgment Day. My thing wasn't stop doing the storyline. My thing was fast forward it so we're not dwelling on the sexual harassment stuff. Like, I could see where this is going. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to let it bubble. But it went that way anyway. It was my worry of if you don't fast forward it, just kind of skip through stuff and then we still see Liv prying Dom away and then prying the other Judgment Day members away because they want to turn Rhea face, and there's a possibility they might want to turn Damien face as well. But Rhea's like the obvious big one when she returns. And that is that's the goal here. The goal here is to get Rhea as over as possible as the hero when she returns. She can still act like the same villainous kind of character she was when she was there before, as the badass. But this is doing everything it can to make sure when Rhea Ripley returns, you are so fully behind Rhea Ripley and kind of get her away from Dom as well. Because he's a massive heel magnet. So if you get him away from Ripley, then Ripley can just be over, end of. That's the end goal. However, 3 weeks ago, I saw where this was going, and I was like, just fast forward through it. Because otherwise we're dwelling on the sexual harassment stuff. Just start to pry Dom away. Start to turn some of the other members of Judgment Day. The other members thing only started this week. So it's been 3 weeks of just the Dom stuff. And I'm like, oh no. No, I saw where this was going. I let it dwell. I was hoping they either changed course a little bit or they didn't do what I was thinking in my head they might be doing. No, they've just done it. No change of course. Yeah, this is... I want to say this is currently the front runner for most despicable act by a company, but whatever it's called at the end of the year award. But WWE are also challenging that with what they're doing with I've forgotten the entity character's name, but the mental health thing they're doing with him. Like, that's equally horrific. they're both in content. For me, this is worse. This is definitely worse. And obviously the case itself will take precedent over this storyline thing, but oh my God, this storyline thing is it's bad. It is so bad. And that's why my advice was just fast forward past it. You still do the same storyline, still get to the same point, but don't dwell on the sexual harassment stuff. Because when you dwell on it, then you're giving us room to call you out on it. It's a world of your own making. That's me trying to critique from the business side. That you've given us this room to talk about it in this way. If you fast forward it through that stuff, we wouldn't have had the room. We'd be on to the next thing already. Instead, we've now got the platform and we've now got the vindication of what happened on this week's show to kind of prove our point. It's a problem of your own making. We should move on to what else happened on Monday Night Raw before I use up all of this format's time on that one thing. Let's talk about Chad Gable. Chad Gable locking himself in his locker room with security protection. Kathy Kelly telling us the other wrestlers are surprised he's even here. I mean, Yeah, the man got capped with a head wound and he's back 1 week later. Wouldn't you be surprised? Ain't enough time to sell death when you've got a Money in the Bank ladder match in a week you need to qualify for. Big boys want a number 1 in their Battle Bastard Bash Bank qualifier. That's why I didn't want to do it. Sometimes you can tell like why didn't I just like talk about the Liv Morgan stuff the whole time and then kind of just end the show? It's like I wrote a really good line. I wanted to use it. I wanted to say the Battle Bastard Bash Bank qualifier so badly. Chad Gable cannot be killed. Realising they want Gable in the bank, so he's just going to have to sell the Wyatt Sicks attack with a plaster, relegating the violence of last week into a minor boo-boo. But it's like, I've got to get him in that match. The big lads using Gable as a weapon to launch at the other was really perfect fun, as well as Reed having to somehow figure out a way to take Strowman's ringside charge in with a way that sends him flying into the ring. I'm not saying he did it well, but he did it in a way that caught my eye and made me laugh. Strowman taken out by Judgment Day. Gable snatching the win with an opportunistic moonsault. When celebrating, the lights go out to one loud pop. Then you get a secondary pop when the piano plays. Then a third when the Wyatt Sicks member actually appears. But what happens when the pops stop? On that occasion, it was Nikki Cross crawling in the smoky ring all creepy-like, making an Amazon delivery to Michael Cole before straight up walking through the crowd. It's a VHS. Crazy, right? A nice note with Gable scared trying to convince the Academy to take him back, instead telling him what's what and leaving him out. It's alright, he's got a new Academy. Creed Brothers and Ivy Nile popping in from the stage right, in what I thought was a relatively narrow hallway, so who knows where they were hiding. But this is also a quite nice, taking me nicely into the Wyatt Sicks. What's in the box? What's on the VHS tape? Why? It's Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy conducting a sit-down interview with Bo Dallas as Bo Dallas. In ye old 4-3 format, doing what they can to really make it feel like you're watching that said dirty VHS tape they gave to Michael Cole. Very strong Bo performance. Being very open about the loss of Bray, about what doing the Wyatt Sicks means for Bray's legacy. He wanted nothing more than to be right there beside his brother, and right when they had it, he wasn't going to let his memory rot in a mausoleum. Instead, he's going to make them all remember. Lots of screen flickerings and flashing images to boot. I know this spooky stuff isn't for everybody, but I absolutely loved this. I thought this was so well done. Because I felt like one thing that's definitely needed is, last week was definitely more grounded than supernatural stuff, but didn't feel very grounded to me. Especially, it's the spooky smoke. The spooky smoke going around is definitely, that's a supernatural note. You got the supernatural feeling because of the smoke, and then you got the creepy vibes and everything else for the rest of it. I thought this did a really good job to ground the characters, because they're creepy with the masks and everything. Their entire vibe doesn't feel super grounded after that first week. It's one of those where I'm like, well, technically it's more grounded, but it didn't feel grounded. This did one hell of a job of grounding it, because one of the things for me was Wyatt going into more fire and flames teleportation and away from the dirty muck of the original Wyatt Sicks kind of gimmick of where they came from. Like this charismatic man from the deep south kind of vibe that they were going for from the swamp. Then bringing some of that dirtiness back was, for me, is really important in grounding this nature that they're going with. And I thought this tape did a really good job of calling in some of those elements as well. Instead of just being like full spooky spook, I thought they did a really good job in grounding both the character that they're having here and the kind of feeling of the group overall. What happened that first week, I don't know because they debuted at 11, how do you then progress that? I thought it was a really smart idea to instead hit on the emotion of the group and with the Bo Dallas stuff, rather than what they were doing, instead of doing like more attacks with the group. I think that would have been the wrong idea. If this week they came out and did another attack, if they came out and just attacked Jack Gable, I don't know what that accomplishes, because we've technically already seen that. We're not really going anywhere. It's just the same spot recorded again. And I fully believe that's what Vince would have done. It's the same spot again. Whilst here, it's not only is it a progression, you're learning something as an audience about the character, but it really helps ground the acts because they needed it. They needed it after that first week. It was a note that definitely needed to be played. So I'm in full applause of this, even though I know Rich would have watched it and hated it all. I mean, like, no. I generally did like this, what they're doing here. In terms of like the rest of the show, the women's Money in the Bank triple threat qualifier between Lyra Valkyria, Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler. It was lovely fun. I will say I was penning the Liv stuff after watching Dom share her naughty text with his friend without consent backstage. So this was a perfect little bit of background distraction as I tried to cobble all of my thoughts together. Carrie's insane elbow is still the greatest elbow in wrestling. Lyra Valkyria snapping in for the win after a great flow of a match. I was mentally distracted, but I did genuinely enjoy this. The show opened with Drew McIntyre strolling out during Cole's preamble. He quit last Monday, attacked Punk on Smackers, and now here he is as a free agent, I guess. A lovely progression of the I prayed for this and the big man made it happen, pointing to himself, as Drew McIntyre becomes a man of action. The full turn against the fans making sense through his seething hatred for CM Punk, his now vindicated hatred after Clash at the Castle, presenting the wristband he snatched off of Punk's beaten body on Smackers, donning the name of his wife and dog Larry, dunking on the dog and making Larry the most over good boy in the arena for a good minute. Next week he's going to wear that wristband with AJ and Larry in his corner as he promises to win Money in the Bank and immediately cash it in to become champion. He's got his qualifying match next week against Sheamus and Ilya Dragunov. Other notes, Bron Breakker faced Ludwig Kaiser as the new crop of IC challengers continued to bubble really nice. We're now at a point where we're getting used to seeing Breakker take a bit more of a beating before he snaps a man in half. The temptation must have been there to Goldberg him, but I'm glad they didn't. But Breakker can be so much more than that to me. He's automatically generating support each week. And pardon the pun, don't break it. Later on, Sammy vs. Braun set up for Money in the Bank to a strong reaction that I feel like the crowd might be up for Bron Breakker winning there. I don't know if they'll do something where to somewhat ground the insane character of Bron Breakker in terms of the damage he's done to everybody else so far, especially what they did with Ricochet. I don't know if a loss could somewhat set it, ground him, bring him down a peg a little bit, but I don't know why he'd want to do that. Just have him beat Sammy. Once you put him in a title match, he wins. For this kind of character who is painted as a demolisher, the way to continue his momentum right now, you can start to bring him down a peg by having him to battle more against the opponents. But once he's in a title match, he wins it. You don't put this kind of character in a title match and have him lose. He wins that title. But that's the only route you can go with it. Otherwise, you're clipping his wings. The other fix is don't put him in a title match quite yet. Have him bubble a little bit more. Have him bubble with Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser a little bit longer without directly going for the title, maybe. But I feel this helps Sammy as well, just because as IC champion, the IC scene feels fresh and new compared to the people he was dancing with before. Like we've seen the likes of Bronson Reed and seeing Chad Gable. Like we're in a completely new set of people. The main event saw R-Truth and The Miz drop their World Tag Team Championships to Irish Judgment, Finn and McDonagh, to end the show with more Judgment Day members accepting Liv. But I said I'll talk about that stuff next week, so I'll keep my promise and I'll save it till then. On a roster where everyone and everything is over, and in a world where WWE can do no wrong, Karrion Kross still gets no reaction. What does he need to do? That man is just not getting over. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And finally, Seth Rollins and Damian Priest angled their quick flash build so Gunter had some time in the shot. A nice little just reminder of what's in the background for that. So yeah, that was my kind of takes on Monday Night Raw. It started strong with Drew McIntyre, and then when I watched the Liv stuff, my enjoyment of the show died off a cliff to a point where I'm paying half attention to the next segment because I'm still writing notes on the Liv stuff. I could have paused the show, but I was like, you know what? This is actually much needed background noise for me right now. And I was making the odd little note, but yeah. And I kind of felt that was my focus once the show ended. I couldn't stop, but I don't think I'd calmed down. It's the best way to put it. Anyway, I think it's time for me to leave the sweltering sound room. To get some fan on me, get some water. So anyway, I say thank you for listening, liking, engaging in any form or any manner. Always appreciated, never take you for granted. I'll be back this time next week. Is it Forbidden Door this weekend? So I want to be a tired boy? I can't quite remember. But I'll be back this time next week. Talk about SmackDown and Monday Night Raw as we head into Money in the Bank the weekend after. So we have to talk about Money in the Bank live from Toronto. Ladders, hooray! The one in London was really fun last year. So hopefully it can bring a fun vibe again. Hopefully they have the setup which it feels special as well. I've liked the unique pay-per-view setups that they have. It really makes them feel different from television. And I feel that's a huge part that was missing for quite some time. I don't know if you don't need a unique set per show, but as long as the setup is different in some way, It's a critique for AEW as well. I don't want the pay-per-view sets to feel like the television sets. That doesn't mean you have to put more stuff on. It just means I'd like them to feel different. And I feel like this is a great way for what WWE do with their pay-per-views at the moment. But technically, it's less. It's so much less staging, and it's selling the point of how many people they're getting in as well. To do that. So anyway, with that, I bid you adieu. Adios.
That's not just the sound of that first sip of Morning Joe. It's the sound of someone shopping for a car on Carvana from the comfort of home.
That's a good blend.
It's time to take it easy, like answering some easy questions to get pre-qualified for a car in minutes.
Talk about starting the morning right.
Just like customizing your terms so your car fits your budget. Visit Carvana.com or download the app to experience car shopping the way it should be. Convenient, comfortable. The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place.